I'm willing to venture a guess that you have not tried this kind of planning before. We are going to look at how to take the classic homeschool reverse planning and marry that together with classroom backwards planning in order to create the best plan for your homeschool, even if you are a non-planner. That's right, reverse planning meets backwards planning for the non-planner. It's the new Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. What we're going to do here is show you how you can create the ultimate plan for your homeschool. Reverse planning is simply writing down what you did after the fact. So if normally you would write in your planner that on Monday you want to do lesson 2, on Tuesday lesson 3, Wednesday lesson 4, then this would be on Monday after you did lesson 2 to jot down, oh, we did lesson 2. Because how many times has something happened on that Monday? You have an emergency appointment, somebody got sick, you needed to go somewhere, and lesson 2 didn't happen. Now your whole plan for the entire week is ruined. You're going to need to erase or even white out what you were meant to do for the other days because everything is going to get pushed back. This can invoke shame and guilt as a homeschooling mom that you are not doing a good enough job here. So let's just eliminate that completely and instead have an idea for what you want to do and then write it down after the fact. That's where backwards planning comes in. And let me share with you a little example that I'm sure you can relate to. Have you needed to take your children to the dentist? Maybe the appointment is at 9 a.m. What do you naturally tend to do? Tell me if you do this in your mind as well. You think, well, we need to be at the dentist by 9 a.m. and it's going to take 45 minutes to get there. So we need to leave our house by 8:15, which means that everyone needs to start getting ready to go out the door by 8 o'clock, which means that everybody needs to be eating breakfast by 7:30, which means that I need to be up at this time. And you know how it goes. You take what you want in the future and then you work backwards to see what needs to be done today or right now in order to get you to that future goal that you have in mind, that vision that you have for what's coming next. That's what backwards planning is for education. You look at maybe what's at the end of this unit for your child, or what's at the end of this year, or maybe even what do you see for them when they're finally graduating your homeschool? And taking that idea that you have for the future, you start to work backwards for what you need to do for today. This doesn't need to be something that is written down and laid out everywhere. This can be something that you keep at the back of your mind so that you can approach your homeschooling with these intentions. Marry this with reverse planning and it's a gold mine for the non-planning type of homeschooling mom. My name is Natalie, and I am so pumped to share this with you today because changing up the way that you plan your homeschooling approach is going to result in more critical thinking in your child. I'll tell you about a survey that I saw recently. Even though 94% of people surveyed believed that critical thinking was a very important skill, only 14% of the general public has this kind of thinking skill. And that's why I'm on a mission to show you how you can teach your child independent critical thinking. As a certified teacher and homeschooling mom myself, I want to empower you with the tools you need to teach critical thinking skills to your child without sacrificing the time away from core subject areas. Here's the thing, you can teach your child to take initiative for their learning, and it all comes down to some strategic planning on your part. There are a few problems that I see with classic planning. First is that we tend to put on ourselves such rigid expectations. Maybe these expectations come from what you think you're supposed to be doing based on the guidelines in your region, or maybe these expectations come from your friends and family. These expectations might even come from yourself based on what your learning was like growing up and what you think your homeschool is supposed to look like. The thing about expectations is that they're not going to help your child feel safe and secure in order to explore their learning. It's time to let go of the responsibility for making learning happen. Whatever certain thing you want done at a certain time is not the main goal here. Allow your child that responsibility back for their learning so that they can grow at their own pace. You might want to check out this video here about gradual release for how to model that for your child. You may have felt this problem start to bubble up in your homeschool if you have ever felt the need to catch up. If you are feeling like, oh no, we're getting behind, or my child is falling behind, what if we have learning gaps in our homeschool? Then this is most likely due to expectations. And the underlying reason for this is because what your child is learning is becoming more of a focus than how your child is learning. Really, if you can teach your child how to think and learn, how they personally process information, then it doesn't matter what content they learn at what time, they will know and they will have the tools in place for how to pick up that information. What's the solution here for these problems that come from classic planning? Well, it's to take reverse planning that you may already know and love and then up-level it with backwards planning. With this approach, you first consider what is your picture of success? What does that mean for you? Are you hoping to instill in your child a love of learning, the ability to think critically, or the initiative that is needed to be independent in the learning process? So think about what you have in mind in the future. It may even be more specific, like you want to teach your child how to write a paragraph. And so from there, you think, this is what I would like to have happen. Now, what are the steps that I'm going to need to take along the way to help my child get there? And in the case of a paragraph, then you will want to look at grammar, at spelling, at sentence structure, at how to put ideas together, how to communicate these ideas. And then with that focus, you now have the flexibility in how you approach that. Sure, if you wanted to use curriculum that goes through that process in a stepwise fashion to make your life easier, you could do that. Or for you, an easier way is to just walk through this day by day with your child. You can do that too. What you are going to want to do is maintain this flexibility and make note of what you are accomplishing each day for those future goals you have. It's very important that you do note what you're doing so that you have the opportunity to be honest with yourself and reflect on what went well, what didn't go well, are you on track for these goals, and is your child connecting with this information in the way that you are presenting it. The beauty of this method is that it really puts a focus on connection between you and your child, and connection for your child with the content, so much more on what that content is. If you would like some support in setting up planning in your homeschool, or need some support in figuring out what kinds of activities are worth planning for, then you might be interested in joining us inside of the Teaching Inspired membership. Teaching Inspired is the only type of community membership that uses monthly teaching themed workshops coupled with action-oriented coaching support to provide a done-for-you experience in your homeschool. Earlier in this video, I mentioned that there are steps you can take to help your child become more of an independent thinker. So if you would like to learn those steps of gradual release, then you will want to click on this image next.